Hey newbies, if you're liking this podcast, or even if you don't, like, share, and subscribe. See you next time. Hey newbies, Nurse Ruthie here. So today we're going to talk about what to look for in an employer. Now, this could be in a hospital, could be a clinic, just some simple tips. Now, I am recording this in my studio, which is my backyard. And if you've seen on my TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, my backyard is very unique. I love it so much. I live on a river in Florida. There's, wild animals and birds and fish, and you might hear some four-wheelers going through and my dog's barking. So just wanted to forewarn you. So the very first thing I suggest that you do when, let's say you're going to work at so-and-so hospital or so-and-so clinic, I would just Google that actual clinic and look at the reviews. You will see patients complaining, patients praising. It will give you a snapshot of what to sort of expect. If patients are complaining, oh, I've been waiting here for 6 hours. Now you kind of know that it's going to be, sometimes it might be a very long wait time. It could be because, maybe there's not enough nurses, or maybe, there's just a lot of patients. Also, there is a website called Glassdoor, and Glassdoor will give you, it's usually employees that work or used to work at that company. And sometimes they'll tell you their base pay rate. They'll let you know how their experience was at that facility. And you could also look at their social media accounts like Facebook, Instagram, and just see, what type of facility is it? Do you see them doing a lot of things with the community? Do you see them praising their nurses? I believe by doing this, it kind of gives you a snapshot of what to expect, kind of the vibe at this facility. Also, you want to look at the location. You may be in one state and looking in another state. If you plan on working day shift, night shift, mid shift, I would put see what the traffic time was around that area. See how long that drive is going to be. Because if you have a long shift, remember, an hour drive, you don't want to, especially if you're working nights, you don't want to fall asleep driving home. One of my first nursing jobs, it took me about 20 minutes to get there. And this is when I worked night shift, 7P to 7A. And by the time I gave report, sometimes it was 8 o'clock. Sometimes it was 9 o'clock. I had to finish some things up. And once I got in that car and I was driving back, it would take about an hour to get home because of all the morning traffic. And sadly, a lot of people who work night shift, they fall asleep driving home, and that is very dangerous. You also want to research if the facility is a for-profit facility, because I just learned this, didn't really think about it. They have shareholders, and basically they have to make decisions that benefit the shareholders. They have to make more money. So sometimes that may not be to the best interest of the patient or the staff member. And also, going back to the vibe of the facility, go to the facility's website. Let's say if it's a hospital, you want to see how many beds they have, what type of units are there. Is it a teaching hospital? Also, if it's a magnet certified hospital. Now, magnet hospitals, they usually hire just BSN nurses, but some of them will hire, nurses that are associates, and that's to your benefit. Usually they say, like where I worked, they said you had a certain amount of time to get your BSN. And what's great about that is that leads me on to the next thing. Tuition reimbursements. You want to see if they have tuition reimbursement, because think about it. If you take a loan out, you are borrowing money. Obviously, you're going to owe interest, and then you have to pay it back. Now, let's say you work at this facility, they do tuition reimbursement, and they state, well, you have to stay here 1 or 2 years. It varies per facility, and I would rather do that. And let's say if I do leave in 6 months or whatever the case may be, at least I don't have to pay interest. They'll probably just take it out of my last paycheck, any kind of PTO that I have. Now, PTO is paid time off. It's vacation hours that you accumulate when you work at a facility. So you put in a couple applications, you're getting calls back, and now you're interviewing. So let's say you already working as a nurse somewhere. Please don't come to the interview in your scrubs. Yes, I know you worked all night, but at least put a little effort in to the interview. Also, you feel good when you look good. That is my opinion. Now, again, if you're just coming off a shift and you're like, oh my God, I only have like 30 minutes, it takes 1 minute to change. I mean, if you have to change in the car, you get to change in the bathroom at the facility, do it. So again, you want to research where you're interviewing, see if they are a magnet hospital, see how many beds they have, see what kind of units they have, because this shows the employer that you are really interested in working there. You could say something like, wow, I'm really interested in your new grad internship program. I saw how blah, blah hospital did this for the community. So some things you would want to maybe bring up is you want to know what the nurse to patient ratio is. Will you have to float to other units? How long is the orientation? If you are a new nurse, will there be a internship? How long is the preceptorship? Also, you can also ask what the retention rate is. Usually after the interview, whoever's interviewing you will give you a tour of the unit. This is a great time to see how the interaction is with other staff members. Now, if you're walking with the manager, whoever, and all the staff members are looking down or running away pretty much, like avoiding this person, that can give you a little clue of what kind of relationship they have. But then again, if you see that they're getting along great with all their employees, they're smiling, they're introducing you to them, I mean, that gives me a good vibe. Now, if you're one of those lucky nurses that has several job offers, I do suggest that you ask the facility to be able to shadow a nurse for a couple hours. That will give you a great insight of what to expect. Now, I should have said this at first, but before you even apply, make sure that all your social media accounts are on point. I would imagine that it would be kind of illegal for them to discriminate because you are having photos on your Facebook of you funneling beers or something. You want to give a good first impression. If you are in hospitality, you are going to be excellent because you have already developed time management skills and customer service skills. When I think about the ER, I think about the patient walking in, they're checking in, they're getting triaged. That's like the hostess stand. Then the hostess will take them to their table/room. They'll get their order, their complaint. Then the nurse follows through and they'll bring medications, do procedures. And then at the end, the patient gets their discharge instructions, which could be like the bill. Unfortunately, we don't get any tips. And if you work in hospitality, especially as a waiter or waitress, to keep the customer happy, you want to make sure that their drinks are full. You keep checking on them, checking on their family. A warm blanket does wonders, as long as they don't have a fever, especially if you give them to your family members. Offer the family members coffee, water, show them where the bathroom is, where the vending machines are. Well, newbies, I hope you find your dream job. And I wanted to thank everyone that reached out to me after the last episode. It really meant a lot. And I can't wait to see what this becomes, what I'm creating. I'm looking for a microphone. So this is getting intense. Be sure to follow, do all the things on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm under Newbie Nurse Podcast. All right, guys. Bye. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not reflect the views or position of any entities they represent. Yay!